This is a brief tutorial on how to use GIMP photo editing software so you can format your pictures for the EVA Historical Archive. GIMP software is free. It's available on the internet. It's available for Macintosh and for Windows machines. It's very similar to Photoshop and a very handy utility to have on your machine. Let's start off by going to our website of the EVA Historical Archive, and that is located at evahistoricalarchive.jsc.nasa.gov. It can be also located from the EVA office homepage. If we list our EVAs, it'll give us all of the EVAs, and let's just take a look at Apollo 11 EVA1 and view that particular record. Here you'll see the record of this EVA. It has Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong in here. And it also shows their photos, and these photos are formatted in a 115 pixel wide by 150 pixel tall photo. Every single photo of the astronauts are formatted this way, 115 pixels wide by 150 pixels tall. That way every record will be uniform and all will look alike. So, knowing that, let's go to Google now. And let's go find the GIMP software, and that can be found very easily. Just go to Google, type in GIMP, and here you go. You have a download link for Windows and Mac OS 10. Go to Windows. If you have a Windows machine, go over here to the right to the downloads. Download this software and install it on your machine. The next thing you'll need to do is you'll need to get an original photo of your astronaut. Suppose you have an EVA coming up, you have to enter a new record in the database, and there's a new astronaut performing an EVA that's not currently listed in the database. You're going to have to create a new record and upload a new photo of this astronaut and format it in the correct format. One of the places to find these photos is if we browse up here at the top and scroll down to ISS missions right here. And let's just look at increment 31 for an example. There we go. And here we go at the very top, crew patch and portrait. This is a great place to get photos. And if you scroll down here, you can see all sorts of photos of the crew members that are on increment 31. Now, if you needed a new photo of this astronaut, Joe Acaba, I would always select the high option as opposed to the low resolution option. Select the high option, and there's his photo. If you go over top of it and right-click it, you can save the image as, and then save it to your desktop or put it somewhere convenient where you can locate it and manipulate it later with the GIMP software that you'll be running later on. Another place to look for some good photos is in the astronaut biographies page. And if you go to www.jsc.nasa.gov/bios, you'll come to the astronaut biographies. So if you go under astronauts right here, let's look for an astronaut who's never performed an EVA. And here's one, Kathleen Rubens. Let's click on her, and here is her bio. Up in the corner is a picture of her, and if we click on that, we can see the full picture, and we need to capture this picture and use it so we can edit it, get it in the right format, and put it into our database. So I'm going to select the high-res version. Here it is. I'm going to right-click on it and save the image to my desktop as, and I'll always use the same format of Rubens, last name first, Kathleen. And go ahead and save that. And now it is on my desktop. So I save that image. The next step would be go to the GIMP software. So let's start GIMP on your machine, GIMP, and start off by going to File right here, Open. Go to the desktop, find Kathleen Rubens, double-click it, opens the file, and there she is. Now this photo is much too large to use in the EVA Historical Archive. We need to crop the photo just to use a certain portion of it, and we may have to make sure that the total photo size is exactly 115 pixels wide by 150 pixels tall. We'll start by going over here to the toolbox. This is going to be very simple. There's a lot of different icons, and if you hover over one of the icons, it'll show you what the description of the tool is. This is the crop tool. Double-click the crop tool. Down below here, you'll see some options. We don't need allow for growing. We don't need any of these that you see on the left side. We only need fixed. We want to make sure the aspect ratio is fixed. Now when you start GIMP for the first time, this number may be much different what shows up in mine, but you want the aspect ratio to be the same as 115 by 150. So type in 115:150 and select portrait. Not landscape, but portrait. Right there. That's all you have to do. And now whenever you crop a photo, it'll keep that aspect ratio. So the next step is to come over to the image, click in this window, select image, scroll down to Zealous Crop right here, click it. Now you have a cursor. Now you can position your cursor over to the top left and drag a box. And you'll know no matter how you drag it, the aspect ratio stays the same because we have set that to 115 by 150. This is the type of size file, shot that we like to use in the EVA Historical Archive, where the face occupies about 60% of the screen, and there's a little bit of headroom at the top here, a little bit of space here, and just shows a little bit of the chest here. So once you get your window drawn, hit your return key, and it eliminates all of the other images and pixels on the outside of that box. But still, we need to scale this box to 115 by 150. You've only changed the aspect ratio and cropped it and kept a certain aspect ratio. So let's go to Image and scale the image. Now you'll see the current image is 2,079 pixels wide by 2,711 pixels tall. We need to change that to 115 by 150. Now one option you have to watch out for is you have to see this chain. The chain is broken now. If I click it again, the chain is connected. You want this chain connected. What that means is whenever you change a value in the width, it'll automatically change the value in the height to make sure you keep the same aspect ratio. You do not want to leave this open and change one and not the other, because then it'll make people look too tall and skinny or too short and fat. So leave this closed. Under width, we want 115. If I click in the height box, it'll automatically calculate 150 for me. That is perfect. I'm going to hit scale, and now we have exactly 115 pixels across and 150 pixels down. Now if you want to look at it a little closer, you can double click the zoom tool over here on the left, come over here and click on it and zoom in. And if you go too far, you can hold the control key and zoom back out. And that is the perfect size that we need for our job to input a new picture of Kathleen Rubens into the EVA Historical Archive. Now we have to save this, so I'm going to save it to my desktop. Save as Kathleen Rubens.jpg. Okay, I'll hit save. There's already one there. I'm going to replace the old one because I don't need it anymore. Replace. And there's a quality scale here. This determines how much compression you want to use on your JPEG file. We don't want to use a lot of compression. We want high quality, so we're going to keep it at 90%, but it's still a relatively small file because it's only 115 pixels by 150 pixels. Hit save, and now I have a new picture already cropped with Kathleen. So now if I open up this picture, let me open up this picture. You will see, there it is, right here. 115 pixels wide, 150 pixels tall, perfect formatting, face covers about 60% of the screen, and a very good image, and it'll look great on the website. So now let's go back to the EVA Historical Archive. Okay, and then we'll click on this page here. And if you go into the login and log in using your regular JSC username and ID, you'll come to an administrative page, and you'll need to add an astronaut under the Manage Astronaut section right here. Add astronaut. So let's add Kathleen Rubens. First name, Kathleen. Last name, Rubens. Gender, female. Nationality, US. This feature is not really invoked into our database right now. It's an option that we can use later, but you still need to enter it. And then we're going to browse for the image, and we'll look at our desktop, and there she is right there. I put that image there, and I submit it. And now it's being uploaded. Now it takes us to the whole list of all the astronauts starting in alphabetical order. So there is Joe Acaba. He's first alphabetically. If I scroll way down to the R's, let's get to Rubens. There she is, Kathleen Rubens. And if for some reason you need to edit this picture again, or anyone else's, you can go into the edit mode on this picture and change any of the data. Or you can go back to where you were. Now you're all set. So now if you enter a new EVA on the EVA historical website, let's go back to here, and you go to log in and you add an EVA, you can put all your data in that you need to, and at the very end, after you enter all of this data, it'll give you an option to add astronauts' names at the end, and you'll pick Kathleen Rubens. And then when your EVA is complete, you'll come up to you'll have a record that looks very similar to this one right here. Here we go. Let's go list EVAs, and let's just look at ISS EVA 17, and it would have Kathy Rubens if it was a particular EVA that she performed, and her picture would be there, and the correct name would be in there too. Very simple. Very simple to use GIMP software. There's a lot of tutorials online on how to use GIMP software. There's also a help page online for GIMP software, so there's a help manual. It's all online. It's very easy to use. I recommend you use this software for other things too. It's really a great tool to have on your machine even if you're not working on the EVA Historical Archive. Thanks.